All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call this meeting to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Kelly Jensen present.
Bosgraf here.
Brianna Texoni here.
Chad Wadsworth here.
Tim Jorgensen here. All members are present. Regular board agenda. Who we missing here? Was there anything that you wanted to do on the agenda?
Mr.
Item
Jordan,
C.
there's really no change in the order of the agenda, so we are good, sir. Thank you.
Have a motion to, well, are we moving in the agenda now? Is that what that is? Yeah, can I have a motion to move in the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion. Kelly
I'll
second.
second. Brianna second.
Brianna, call the question, please.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Bosgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0. Public participation, Dr. Zalakian. Do you have anybody?
Not at this time, Mr. Jorgensen. Thank you.
Adjourn to closed session. Closed session. Forward start. The close to adjourn session is a conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel and or student matters. They have a motion to adjourn for closed session. Chad,
Brianna second.
Brianna, call the question, please.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Bosgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0 will adjourn to closed session at 6:33. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to reconvene from the closed session. Chad, would you lead us in the flag salute, please? Oh, at 7:34.
All right. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The civility statement. It's encouraged that we all communicate clearly and concisely and with the respect for the time of others. Listen objectively, carefully, considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, or intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect the district policies and procedures. Maintain a respect for a rich history of the district and efforts of others who have served in the past. With regards to closed session, the board will consider and may act on any of the following items in closed session. Any action taken in closed session will be reported out in open session required by law. Closed session may be called at any time during a formal meeting by motion of the Board of Education for the purpose of discussing personnel problem, pupil problem, a purchase consultation on a legal problem with an attorney, and with employee organizations in regard to salaries and fringe benefits. All formal action involving such matters must be made in the open meeting. We had conversations with the labor negotiator, public employee discussion, discipline dismissal, conference with legal counsel, and student matters. It is my duty to report that no action was taken. Public comments. Dr. Zahafi.
Mr. Jorgensen, we have two public speaker cards.
Go in alphabetical order. Please submit your request to speak to the Board of Trustees, a card located in the exhibit table. Not more than 3 minutes are allotted to any one speaker and no more than 20 minutes on the same subject. This portion of the agenda is for comments, recognitions, and reports to the board. It is not intended to be a question and answer period. If you have questions for the board, please provide the board president with a written copy, and an administrator will provide answers at a later date. We have Tracy Constant. Please state your name for the record, and thank you, Tracy.
Tracy Costin. It's my job to report on board meetings, what's said and what occurs, what is not quoted verbatim is referenced in the article to refer to the video. And that's not going to change. What needs to change is the board spending less time on what I write and more time on the issues at hand. In other words, you have misplaced priorities. Focus on, I don't know, retaining teachers, principals, students, those responsibilities. I don't believe that includes calling the newspaper and complaining about what's written. If you think I got my facts wrong or misrepresented, then feel free to send in an editorial. But calling the editor within whining about how you are perceived is nonsense and wastes everyone's time, because I'm still here. Trying to cancel me is not going to work. Freedom of the press is still allowed in this country, and what kind of message does it send to our students if school board members are focusing on suppressing the press because only your opinion matters, because you've never been held accountable for your actions in the past? This is not leadership, it's cowardice. The newspaper doesn't have the responsibility to record the entire meeting. Our responsibility is to our readers and to bring them what we feel is important, as is with any news outlet. It is your responsibility as a school board to have complete videos. So I'm glad after so many years, you're making your own videos for the public. We're in a time when students and staff are seriously depressed with lack of teachers, classes being cut, quarantines. So they look to the school board and what do they see? The last 2 board meetings were very telling on how this board rolls and the lack of decorum. Ada is up here meeting after meeting stating grave concerns. We had a teacher quit mid-year. He didn't quit the profession. He loved his students. He's still teaching. He quit this district, went to another. There's a reason for that. Were his concerns heard, like so many teachers that are overworked, teaching other teachers' classes, teaching multiple subjects in one class period? He left to go to a district that certainly doesn't conduct their board meetings like a personal platform for their own agendas, admonish public comments, and who don't try to suppress the press because their feelings get hurt. If your feelings are hurt, get out of the hot seat. The amount of time you take to focus on things that you perceive to be important as a board is very telling and reveals there are some serious concerns with following board policies. It's an embarrassment to this community. And believe me, our neighboring districts, elected officials, and stakeholders are taking notice. Please all.
Thank you, Ms. Constant. The next speaker we have is Pamela Wolter.
I'm Pam Walter, and I've got a couple of public announcements to make here. Some of you know I'm on the Acton Town Council, but I'm also the chairperson for the Acton Agua Dulce group of people that is against the high-speed rail and what's been going on for the last 10 to 12 years. We have, within the last week, I have personally been advised by the High-Speed Rail Authority that they are planning to release the draft EIR for the group, the last segment of the train, which is from Palmdale to Burbank. They have not given me a date other than it'll be in March. And so we're trying to scramble right now. We've asked them for 30 days to be able to review the draft EIR when it comes out. We have no guarantee. Well, we've asked them for 45 days, excuse me. They told us 30 days the last time we talked. So we're hoping and praying that we get that 45 days so that we've got the time to review this huge document. It will be at the library here in Acton. It's on 11 by 14 size pages. It's a huge document. They haven't even been able to tell me how many pages it is, but I'm guessing it's going to be in the thousands. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I've got a really strong team of members that have worked for years on this. They're all community leaders. So I just want you to be aware, we're still striving to get it all underground, but we don't know what the draft EIR is going to say. That was our big goal. We've gotten it moved, but it still is very close to the high school. Obviously, you all know that it's their proposed route, or their favorite route is along Sierra Highway, blah, blah, blah. But until we see it, they're not letting us know anything about it. So when that draft comes out, I will come back. But of course, all of you can go to the library and do your own research too. That's a really important thing that's happening to Acton and what our life is going to be like with that train. My second announcement is that this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning at the community club, we've got a group of senior students coming from Cal Poly who are interested in trying to help us finalize all the trail systems in Acton and Agua Dulce, which we've not been very successful with, regional planning and Parks and Rec, to get that job done. We've got trails that run along Soledad with a couple of feet wide, and this is where people are supposed to be riding their bikes, riding their horses, and walking in a very dangerous area. So I would really appreciate if someone from the school board can come and participate in our meeting. This has been arranged with regional planning, And to get these students to come down here was a tremendous amount of work for us to do, but regional planning worked with Cal Poly and the professor there. These are students that will be urban planners when they graduate this year. So we need to help them understand that there's rural communities that need them too. So it's from 10 o'clock in the morning till 12:30. They're supposed to be setting up stations where you can actually see some of the work that they're proposing. And we are taking them out tomorrow, a couple of us on the council. I realize my time is done, but I don't know how else to get this message to you folks. We're gonna take them out tomorrow. They're getting here at 1 o'clock and we're going to tour them of Acton and really get them a feel of what our rural community is all about and why we've worked so hard with regional planning to get these students here. We've worked years with regional planning, trying to establish our ruralness and keep it that way. So it's a big fight. I have other questions, but I will do as the president said and submit my question in writing. And someone will get back to me about school board questions.
Thank you.
I
We'll do that, Ms.
appreciate it.
Walker.
Thank you.
Dr. Zahofke and the golden spotlight.
Yes, sir. National School Counseling Week, sponsored by the American School Counselor Association, ASCA for short, is being celebrated this week, February 7th through tomorrow, the 11th, to focus public attention on the unique contributions of school counselors within U.S. school systems and how students are different as a result of what school counselors do. I have a bit of a bias because I was a former school counselor. Once a counselor, always a counselor. National School Counseling Week highlights the tremendous impact of school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and plan for a bright future. The special week honoring school counselors provides recognition for school counselors who implement comprehensive school counseling programs, a vital part of the educational process for all students as they meet the challenges of the 21st century. In addition, school counselors collaborate with school-based licensed psychologists, social workers, and nurses to help students succeed. At this time, we would like to publicly thank and recognize for Golden Spotlight for February 10th, our district's dynamic counseling team of Ms. Nicole Salcedo, Ms. Tiffany Caseta, and school psychologist, Ms. Nora Miller. I know we have two that are here present with us this evening. If we could give them a huge round of applause, please. Before we take a picture with our wonderful counseling team, dear board, we also have our site leaders here tonight, Ms. Van Nornum from High Desert and Dr. Murphy from Vasquez, if they would like to say a few words about the dynamic counseling team and their support and services, please. Thank you.
This is ladies first tonight.
You better holding it. All right, so tonight we want to share a little bit of appreciation for our incredible counseling team. At High Desert, we have Miss Tiffany Quesada, who comes to our school most frequently. And so we have written a little bit about her and her kind, student-centered and encouraging support as she provides to the students and staff. So at High Desert, our motto is that our hawks soar. And so we thought it very fitting that her tribute should be also about how she soars as well. And every one of these applies to Ms. Salcedo and Ms. Nora Miller as well. So S stands for strive to be your best. No matter the challenges or the number of emotionally taxing situations they are addressing in a single day, they always arrive on campus prepared and ready to help students, glowing with positivity and love for absolutely everyone. O stands for own your actions. In supporting our students academically and socially, they help our students to own their actions, seek out new pathways, to success and develop as academic scholars and good peers. They are the kind layer that is offering guidance, structure, and compassion with every single phone call and every single student meeting. A stands for accept responsibility. Part of a counselor's job is to help students accept responsibility for their academic choices and support them with strategies, goal setting, and encouragement to do their very best. They work diligently to develop a rapport with the students so that they can have those very tough conversations openly. They know the students know them, and they trust that they will be there to support them even when they don't always make the best decisions. R stands for respect all. We have so much respect for our counseling team and the amazing work they are doing. They are heroes that our students are turning to as a safe place in the midst of their own storm. Our counselors ensure that they are at a student's service no matter the hour of the day. There have been countless nights of staying late and supporting students and their families as they are grappling with some of their toughest days. They take all of that in and give back nothing but love, support, and guidance. Thank you to Tiffany Quesada and Nicole Saucedo and Miss Nora Miller for all of their hard work in what may be the hardest year to be a counselor ever. Their efforts do not go unnoticed, and we are grateful for their service to the students, the staff, and the families in our amazing community. And at High Desert, when we give awards, we recognize students with a Medal of Honor coin. So I brought a Medal of Honor coin to give to both of our amazing counselors, and I have one for Miss Miller later. They deserve way more than just a coin, but we hope that it reminds them how much we appreciate them. Thank you.
Good evening. I actually was gonna stop at Arco for a couple corn dogs for 2 for 99 cents, and I thought, get the gift card there, and it'd probably be a lot more meaningful than what I write, but this is as good as it gets. In observance of School Counselors Week, I reviewed some memes that might capture how the school year has been for our counseling staff. Being a school counselor is easy. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire, you're on fire, and everything is on fire. And I would just add that the tires are square, they're flat, and they're riding uphill both ways. Through every encounter, our school counseling staff makes every effort to look out for the best interests of students in this valley. School is an exciting time. There are ups and downs, good days and bad, and yet our counselors are there each and every time to give a high five, offer a tissue, lend an ear, and even to take time to hear about their concerns. I've had the sincere privilege of working with Nicole, Tiffany, and Nora for 3.5 months. I'm unable to count a time that I worked with those comparable to their talents, skills, passion, focus, and excellence. I am both proud to call these three my colleagues and privileged to know that they are on my team. Nicole, Tiffany, and Nora, somewhere more, okay. You inspire me. I am marveled by the way you accomplish daily, what you accomplish daily. I guess it would help if I read that, okay. And I'm equally encouraged by the marked growth you have made with each of our students. Thank you for your diligent effort and the steps you take acting as servant leaders for our school and community. I know that if our students and staff were here, they both would equally extend their heartfelt gratitude and wish you all a happy School Counselors Week. Thank you.
May we take a picture with the counselors?
Absolutely.
In addition, we have our wonderful Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Kim Shaw, who'd like to say a few words as well. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm on. Good evening, Dr. Sahakian, Board President Jorgensen, and fellow board members. I would like to express my sincere appreciation for Nora Miller, school psychologist, Nicole Salcedo, and Tiffany Casada, school counselors. The three of them currently make up our counseling team, and they are on the front line of the most serious mental health crisis in recent memory. They are to be commended for their work they do on a daily basis at all three sites, supporting students and staff, but especially our students who need them the most. They are there standing with them with kindness and understanding. They do whatever it takes to get the services and support our students need. It isn't easy and sometimes even heartbreaking, but they come back every day with enthusiasm and a smile to take on a new day. When I need someone to help roll out a new program for students, these are the ladies you'll see there to support. Our district is a better place for each and every one of them. I'm proud to have them on our team. Thank you, Nora, and Nicole, and Tiffany for everything you do for our kids.
Thank you.
Do we have board member comments before we move on?
I could say this in my comments, but thank you, Mrs. Shah. I think I heard the words hardest year ever from Ms. Van Ornum and Dr. Murphy. His description of this year is really should be written down. I'd like a copy of all the words that you did, Ms. Dr. Murphy, because that does kind of explain what's been going on. Counselors have the hardest job, and you can tell by Mrs. Shah, she's emotional, and I know that she's not happy that she's emotional, but it just because it comes from the heart, knowing everything that you guys do for our students every day. We have a lot of social emotional issues going on with our students and everything that's been going on with the pandemic and being isolated sometimes, and just we need to remember that everything that's going on with our students, and it's important that we're all together and really as people speak tonight and as we look at programs and other things, we have to remember that the kids are the most important thing to us. And so I know that you guys know that, and we just really appreciate from the heart. I know it's not easy for you guys either, everything that you have to do and all the time and hours and worrying when you go home. If your job's not done when you go home, because I know you're still worrying about kids and trying to think again about what's going to happen the next day. So we just really appreciate you from the bottom of our heart, and thank you for all that you do.
I'm going to speak to this in my board member comment, so I'll capture it then. Thanks.
I had planned to speak about National School Counselors Week in my board comments, but I'll go the other way and I'll just move it to now. You ladies are incredible. I have had the pleasure of working with both of you. Tiffany, when we worked together at High Desert, it was an honor. I saw the way that you worked with kids. I'm incredibly proud of you for furthering your education and taking that next step, because a school counselor is exactly where you need to be. You are a perfect person to be a school counselor. And I know that you are changing lives every single day. And I thank you for that. Nicole, it's been since Meadowlark. And I know firsthand that a school counselor does not mean a student counselor. It also means a staff counselor. It also means a mom counselor, because I've sat in your office a couple of times and just let the tears flow and we work through it. You worked magic with my children from Meadowlark on up. I know I've said it a couple times. I don't think that my kids would have diplomas if it wasn't for you. I owe you personally so much. And as a board member, I know that there are so many other parents that feel the same way about our whole counseling team. And I thank you for changing lives every minute of every day. You've certainly changed lives in my family, and I thank you for that. And I love you.
Hi, good evening. I think the words that Ms. Van Orem and Dr. Murphy put out for you guys say it all. Being a school counselor is probably one of the most thankless jobs in a lot of ways that one could have. But the impact that you put on a student is probably not measurable. Nicole, I personally had experiences with you and helping my family out. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the time that you put in with that. Tiffany, I haven't had the opportunity to deal with you, but everything I hear is just praise. So I think the two of you and Nora are doing a lot of great work for our district. And I want you to know that you have our support going forward with needs that you might have. We just need to know. We're here to support you and can help you. And thank you for being here. That's all I have.
There, everybody said everything, but I want to tap into what Dr. Murphy and Ms. Van Orem said, that this is the most important time for counselors on our schools as we transition our kids back from distance learning, get them back on campus. They've been, it's just been a challenge for them to be working from home, and now they're back in the socialization of the classroom and the rigor. And it's the people like you at each one of our campuses that help give them guidance, that they have a place to talk, they have a place to communicate. And I can't express my appreciation more for the hard work and the sacrifice that all three of you have done for our students. And that's it. And the parents come along, like you've heard already, that the parents are very appreciative. And so there's just not enough words to thank you as much as we want. You can't describe it, but you know it in your heart that you're doing an exceptional job. Your students know that. And when you're in the line at the grocery store, they're going to say, hey, I remember me. And they're going to remember you and all the positive things that you helped them get through this most challenging time of the pandemic and distance learning. So for me, on behalf of the board and the district, thank you very much for all three of your efforts on each one of our school sites. 7, correspondence proposal reports. Ada, representative.
Good evening, how are you? Sheldon Sparks, Ada representative. I'm just gonna hold it. It's good to see you. Thank you for having us here. Want to give a shout out to Alexa Lepp. She had her first chemotherapy treatment today. I know she's not feeling good. Alexa, we're thinking of you. Appreciate all your hard work and dedication, even in your sickness. That brings me into kind of where Ada's at. This year, like no other, we cut staff, right? We cut because our ADA was declining. We eliminated a lot of positions. And so what we did is we took a position like Tracy Sharp, a social studies teacher, and we would divide up her class load amongst the other social study teachers and into into an English teacher. We did that with Mrs. Largett. We divided up the math between Krolik and Salcedo. And all across all the campuses, we've cut staff and then reallocated those teachers that we've cut onto other people. And all year we've been hearing the stress load that has caused, the angst that it's caused amongst a lot of members, sitting there saying, hey, we can't do this with COVID, with all the things that's going on top of this, having to teach in person and then also having to manage the independent study, having to install and institute new programs. There's always a new program that's being instituted, and it's very difficult to be able to handle all those duties and still create new programs. It's affecting people's health. We've had 2 teachers who've had a stroke in the classroom over the last month, literally. We have people who are sick, who are done because they can't teach anymore. We have people quitting. And last time there was a comment, well, it's tough everywhere. Okay, well, it's really tough at Vasquez. It's really tough at Meadowlark. It's really tough at High Desert. Not because of anything that you've done, but because of the situation that we're in. And so this brings me up to my next point, is that this is the time of year that we sit there, we look at budgets, who's coming back, who's not coming back. Got a layoff rehire notice through the email this week, and was kind of wondering about the timing. It's that time of year. If we're looking to continue to cut staff, you can't cut any more staff. You are cutting the bone. You are working people. You are working people to being tired. I wonder what it's going to look like during the summertime. I really do. How many people, I don't know, a lot of people are leaving the profession. How many people are going to say, okay, I can't do that here? And one of the best things about working in this district is I tell everybody, it's like a private school. It's like a small private school. You know, everybody knows everybody. It's safe for the most part. We get our fights every once in a while. We have the same problems that most high schools do. But your decisions start having ripple effects, right? We start moving, we lose a principal, we cut Guido, and all of a sudden we're starting to hear all the rumors about what's going on in the bathrooms and what's going on in places that we don't want to talk about. And so those decisions of cutting security has ripple effects. Those decisions of cutting math teachers have ripple effects, long-term consequences. And so I'm asking you, please, 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 this year, please consider what you're doing. If you're looking to cut more staff, it does not matter. To run a high school, to run a junior high school, doesn't matter how much staff you have, there's a certain amount of work that needs to be done, and it needs to be done well. But if you start taking away staff after staff after, heck, we haven't had a dean of students on campus in 3-4 years. We haven't replaced Mrs. Cesari in 4 years. I remember Mr. King saying, oh, that's still in the budget. That's not eliminated. Well, if it's not eliminated, how come it's not fulfilled? And if our job is really, 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 really to serve students, why do we have 59% in our reserves and we're not spending it on things that are necessary? If this isn't an emergency, I don't know what is. And so again, appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have a really hard job. I get up here every week and I feel like I'm not yelling at you, but going, help, because we need help. And I appreciate everything you do. And so I have one more thing, but I'm done tonight. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
CSEA representative? None? Ms. Rudd, student representative?
Just for a report on the schools, was it Vasquez? At Vasquez right now, we're preparing for our 8th grade roadshow, which will be coming up on the 17th. We'll be showing the 8th graders around, showing them what opportunities they'll have at Vasquez, you know, once they come, and just encouraging them to participate in school. And then we also have our winter formal dance, which will be on the 26th. And our softball and baseball teams will be going into season next week. Starting off with, I believe, our baseball team, an away game on the 15th. And then regarding the middle school, there's had their semester 1 awards assembly today, and it will continue tomorrow, which is honoring students for academic achievement. Their star reading and math, star reading and math growth. Regarding athletics, the 100-mile club and the Medal of Honor Character Awards. And then next week, the 8th graders will be visiting Pbis for our roadshow, and they are looking forward to checking out where they are headed to school next year when they become Mustangs. And then regarding the elementary school at Meadowlark, their positive behavior focus this month is dismissal safety. Many classes enjoyed activities, crafts, and treats for the 100th day of school, and we're proud to recognize 46 students for scholarly behavior, citizenship improvement, and kindness at their awards assembly. And if I may, I would just like to say something regarding the counselors at Vasquez. Just as a student, it's Counselor Appreciation Week. Mrs. Salcedo, I've known her for 3 years since I started going to Vasquez. She's been my softball coach for those years.
And she has personally helped me in all aspects of my life, athletic, social, and just emotional, just everything academic. She's always been there, and I think it's safe to say socially, at the very least, I would not have been able to, just make it to high school, or like to this point, without her. Like, I would probably be homeschooled and not even be at this meeting right now. So, I know the counselors, they are two of the best people I've ever met in my life, and I think I will always remember them. Because they do help us in so much, and it's really hard to see when they are so overworked. Whenever if they are stressed out, or when I feel like, they are overworked. That's the main point. If there is anything that can be done, I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about our budget or anything that goes on financially with this district, but if there is anything to be done, we need to, because it's hard to see all the staff. I know teachers who do not have a planning period, who teach multiple classes in one period, who do all the things as Mr. Sparks was saying earlier, and I can't vouch for all the students at Vasquez because I don't know if all of them care, but for most of us, we're intelligent enough to realize the effects of neglect that happens at our school, and just being there for the 3 years I have been, it's hard to see that almost nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed have been things that make it work harder for for the staff there, and things harder ultimately for the students there. Because I know if you don't feel like you have enough attention there, if you don't feel like academically, if you don't feel like you are able to learn anything, you don't want to learn. You don't want to do anything, and that happens when we lose all our staff, and when they are not replaced, and when we don't appreciate them as much as we should. And so if there is anything that can be done, I really hope you're doing everything you can to help our district, because I see the effects personally, and just want to say again, thank you to our counselors, because they are incredible people, and I know that everyone at us appreciates them.
Dr. Zahakian, Gold Standard Report.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Tonight I'll be covering 4 gold standard objectives. Those include student achievement, effective instruction and leadership, community engagement, and student connectedness. I'll start with student achievement 1.0. I had the great privilege of visiting the new Antelope Valley College dual enrollment class, stress management, this past Monday, the 31st. This past Monday? It was on January 31st. A total of 17 students had enrolled in the class. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Thank you, Ms. Salcedo, counselor. The class is being held at period 4 at Vasquez. The ABC instructor, Mr. Livermont, was very engaging when I was there to take a picture and listen in as a fly on the wall. And he was reviewing the assignments per the syllabus for the remainder of the semester. Such assignments include a gratitude collage project that the students will be working on, and students will be creating their own relaxation script. And I did ask a few students to share those with me so that I could use it in my personal time. Next one is effective instruction and leadership. Most recently, High Desert surveyed their community of students, parents, and staff on a block scheduling proposal for the upcoming school year 22-23. Based on the results, over 51% are in favor of a change over to block scheduling. So a virtual town hall meeting was set up on February 3rd at 5:30, as well as Friday, February 4th at 1 p.m. We just want to stagger the time to make sure that we cater to our communities that might be working. So Ms. Van Orden did a phenomenal job of reviewing the proposal, as well as answering questions from the community. So thank you, Ms. Van Orden. The presentation also has been posted to the High Desert website. So thank you for that, so that everyone can review. In addition, the link to the presentation that Ms. Van Orden put together for block scheduling will be out in the February update that's going out to our community tomorrow. Our next Standard community engagement. Got some wonderful photos that are up on your screen right now, and then we'll get to a couple of testimonials. Our newly formed Shadow Day Collaborative works in unison with all of our 3 school sites to provide opportunities for current and prospective parents and students to experience the wonderful programs and curriculum that are here at our district. During the Shadow Day experience, students and parents will engage in activities and meet other students and have the opportunity to meet other staff. Thank you to the collaborative participants. They are comprised of existing parents of our district, staff, teachers, and community members. Can't do this alone. Thank you for your time, your input, your diligence. So we kicked off our first Shadow Day event Monday, January 31st. So on January 31st, our High Desert Hawks soccer teams and their families were invited to Vasquez High School's men's soccer team and Vasquez Senior Night. The Hawks took a team photo. Mr. Alex, if you could go back to the team photo. Thank you so much, sir. Took a team photo with the Vasquez men's soccer team. We also offered up an outdoor tour of the Vasquez campus to the High Desert families. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, for that. That was a fantastic tour. Heard great things about it. Was part of it, but heard great things from you and the parents. And then the Hawks cheered on the Vasquez Mustangs as they took on Village Christian that evening. The immersion activity was a great success, so thank you to everyone involved. We're thrilled and excited to be providing these opportunities to build and enhance relationships across our wonderful schools. So be on the lookout for the next immersion that will be between Meadowlark and High Desert. Moving forward, so student connectedness. So yesterday, Dr. Murphy and I met with a group of 14 Vasquez students, grades 9 through 11, as part of the Superintendent Student Advisory. They were great. They didn't reject my request for a picture, a group picture. So there you have it up on the screen. Thank you, students. I'd like to acknowledge the students for their participation and insight in the areas of campus safety, athletics, teacher morale, and school site funding. Their next assignment that I provided them will be to take their areas of interest and their passion projects and interview district staff to learn more about the process and how to tackle the challenges that they're most passionate about. So we look forward to having the group here for a formal board presentation close to the end of this academic calendar, so they could share some of the constructive dialogue impacting our student body today. Mr. Jorgensen, this concludes my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zakian. The COVID-19 reports.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to provide a COVID report. Again, data that's pulled from Department of Public Health, LA County. Good news, numbers are decreasing. 4,360 new cases reported to DPH as of February 7th, as compared to 18,822 cases that were reported January 25th. So a significant decrease is what we're seeing, and hopefully that trend continues. We sincerely hope that these numbers decrease as we move forward in this academic calendar. As we may have already heard, LA County is looking to ease the indoor masking mandate sometime next week for folks who are vaccinated. Having participated in a virtual meeting yesterday sponsored by AXA, Association for California School Administrators, educators are anticipating a reevaluation of the masking mandate by LA County Department of Public Health by mid-March. It is anticipated that the masking mandate may ease up for students in LA County. What those parameters might look like, we don't have any details at this time. However, I'd like to stress that we should remain cautiously optimistic and wait for final word in the upcoming weeks. Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen.
Thank you, Dr. Sargent. Do we have any submissions tonight?
No submissions.
None. Board member comments, Ms. Jensen.
I don't really have a lot of comments this evening. Just once again, thank you, counselors. And as an educator, I'm sure Haley's words made your evening tonight. Who's in education that doesn't want to hear those words from a student about how much you've affected her life? So thank you for Thank you for doing that. And your name comes up all the time. And it's always really positive things about how much you help our students. So I've known Haley since she was a little girl. So I care about her deeply just as a human being, as someone I know. So I appreciate you taking good care of her. And, you know, being a softball coach on top of everything else, it's like it goes by what we're saying. Lots of people wear many hats, and we appreciate that. And just my thoughts for Alexa left tonight, that she can get well soon. And that she's in our prayers that she can get well. And also just looking forward to some of those activities, just some kind of social activities for our kids. The winter form was really important. So thank you for putting out on that, Haley, and the Roadshow. Just easing that anxiety about going to high school is important to our students. So once again, you are part of that too. So thank you guys so much for all you do.
That's it. Mental health, things like that. I'm a government employee. I'm a public sector employee. I look around me sometimes, in the city where I work, there are rent stabilization issues. There are people that have not had jobs in a year or 2 years. They've lost a spouse. They've lost everything, employment. And so as a government employee, I sit back whenever things appear to be like really, really bad in my life. I know a lot of people that don't have retirement benefits and don't have any medical benefits and don't have a job to look for tomorrow morning. So I'm going to say that once again because I didn't have my mic on. As a government employee, I'm surrounded by misery, even in the municipal agency I work for. You have people that have not had income. The rent has been stabilized, but yet they're looking at being evicted because time is running short. The economy has collapsed. And just because we get a stimulus check every once in a while doesn't mean things are okay. The tourists stopped coming for 2 years. Everything shut down. Your theme parks, everything has shut down. But I'm sitting over here. I'm a government employee. I'm represented by a union. I have medical benefits. I have a pension. I have things that no one else has. And I never forget that, especially when I'm communicating it to my customers. Please remember that. What do I say to you counselors? I remember when the model was, if I'm in a classroom, I don't have to develop a personal relationship with Mr. Fallsgraf, who's constantly disruptive. I don't need to know what he's all about or why he's acting that way. I just need to dump him off to the principal. And I just need to give him some candy. And that way he'll learn that all he's got to do is act up and he goes to the principal's office and he doesn't have to feel dumb in the classroom. You guys are counselors, you know what I'm talking about. Well, a couple of years ago, this district started bringing on people who are the equivalent of psychologists. Do any of the people have psychology degrees? Yeah, so we're not a counselor anymore. We're a psychologist, and our thing is human behavior and how to make a difference with one kid without making them look like a fool and protecting his dignity. That's what you all are doing. That's really what you're doing. Nicole, I would really, really like to see the day when you could do what you used to do a lot of and are still trying to do, and that's to make sure my own daughter gets into a law program at UCLA. You put her there. She come out of here. She come in here from a charter school that shut down overnight, didn't know anybody, was rattled, and you took the wheel. You put her there today. When you're standing up at the microphone, I want to hear those stories. It's okay for you to cry, because I'll tell you what, in the face of ADA, I'm going to be very clear here. Don't care who likes what I say and who doesn't. My thing is to represent taxpayers. The charter revenue stream collapsed. We're in a period of adjustment. Mr. Money back there found $2.2 million this year that wasn't expected. The money that's in the revenue is glide pathing us. We could be in a much, much worse place. But if I'm watching this tonight and I don't like the school district that I'm going to, and I tune into this meeting, this is where our ADA comes up. Let's remember that. I've said that as politely as I can. I am very fortunate to be a public sector employee. Even when I have it terrible, there are hundreds and thousands of people who have it much worse. Nicole, I will be happy when you can get back to the day where you take a referral from one of your psychologists, let's not call them counselors or psychologists, that says, this kid has lost his attention span. We're not engaging him. Let's find out how to engage him and take this kid to Nicole and say, I think here's your future. Give that kid some hope. That's what y'all do. I can sell that all day long. Let me sell that, and the ADA in this district will go through the roof. I want more messages like this every 2 weeks. Thank you all for being here. The video posting, I'm very impressed. I have been gone from the days of, I couldn't even get a paper video without having an attorney from the district fight me on it, to now we have uploaded the video. I don't care what the news prints, they can print anything they want. If I don't like it, I'll go talk to somebody about it. I'm good at making things very clear, like I just did about these employees. But thank you for getting the video up. It was up by 9 a.m. the next morning after the board meeting. Now, if I always ask for more than I should, but if I could get a few more meetings going backwards, I would like to see the meetings that talked about the budget, because it was very clear about the budget. I specifically asked them the budget about the charter revenue collapse on the outlying years. If we can get those posted up, we can have adult, reality-based communications when someone says, I don't understand the budget. I don't understand the realities of why people are let go and what LACO thinks you have to have in terms of number of students versus numbers of teachers, all things outside of many of our control. But if I can get one video up, it would be the video of the September 23rd, 2001 meeting, because I asked for a primer on how business contracts are done in this district and what expectations are about facilities use agreements when it relates to contractors, sports club programs, and after school vendors, and the security goes with everybody walking on this campus. I would like to see that out, because I'm fixing to give some hard lessons in the next 2 meetings about what I meant by that. It would be much easier if those were up, if we could somehow get back to the beginning of the school year at least, so people can watch and make their own judgments about what I'm saying, because what I'm saying might not be reality, but I think most people are smart enough to look at things and decide, okay, you know what, I can do this. Myself, I don't need people to tell me what to think, including me. All right, shout out time. Again, I'm selfish. I want to give a shout out to Professor Collis and my class colleagues in my tort law class that I take on Thursday nights. I can't go tonight, and I'm being penalized student participation points because I'm sitting here on the school board. I said I would give you a shout out. I did. I'm hoping that I can get an extra credit assignment. I'm hoping that it's tort law as related to public contracting. I think I might get a few points in the next 2 meetings. I'm going to move on. Guys, hang in there. You're doing more right now for kids than I think you ever have in the past. You don't need to make me happy about my child going to college or whatever. But the fact that you're going through what you're going through and you're not letting the kids see it is huge. Huge. Thank you. Oh, last thing. I get emails talking to me about, you know, what skinny suit dude did at the football game. Yeah, I don't know about that. I do know that I don't run my thought process on masking on anything other than LA County Health Department. But for those of you that are prompting me through emails to say, hey, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't put needles in people's arms, put needles. I don't listen to any of it. None of that stuff's on the agenda. I'm waiting for the 15th of February to see what they're gonna throw at us next. We keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna get there, and I don't need to create a bunch of legal drama to try to get there. So thank you for hanging in there. That's it. Thanks.
Like I said before, I have National School Counselors Week in my notes to talk about, so I just wanted to reiterate how much we appreciate you guys, all three of you on our counseling team. So thank you again. I do have Miss Alexa Lepp also on my agenda to speak about. Girl, we're praying for you and you're in our thoughts. And we're thinking about you, and stay strong. Haley, your report out of all this nonsense, your student report is always my favorite because it tells us what's actually going on in our schools. And we can talk budget, and that's all very important. And we can talk COVID stuff and all of this other stuff that is extremely important. Bottom line, the reason that why every single person in this room is here and everybody online why they're here is for our students, and you bring our students here to our board meeting. So I want to thank you for that. The last thing that I want to comment about is board member recommendations in our hiring process. I want to make sure, Dr. Sahakian, that you know and that your staff knows, board member recommendations in our hiring process is not a rubber stamp. It is a recommendation. Whether or not it should be happening or it is happening, I'm not going to comment on that. I want to make sure that you and your staff knows that our hiring process is there for a reason. And you are incredible people that are going to choose incredible people, and do not let influence change decisions. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Good evening again. I'll keep my comments short. Haley, I'm going to go to you first. Your report was spot on. It's great to hear your opinion of the situation and your evaluation of campus life and what you see within your teachers and your peers, other students. Ultimately, they are our customers, and we want to keep them as happy as possible. So I appreciate you being here. I know you your studies and sports make for long days, and I appreciate you still attending our meetings. Alexa Lepp, I want you to know that I'm praying for your health, and that my thoughts are with you. I've had many people in my life battle cancer. It's not a pleasant thing, and my heart goes out to you. So if there's anything you need, feel free to reach out to me or my wife. It'd be the littlest thing. If you need something, let us know. We're here to help you. I hear Coach Sparks' comments, as I do often. I understand it. I sympathize with it. The one thing that kind of stuck out to me was the comments on making more cuts. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been any discussion about making more cuts. So wherever that rumor is coming from, it'd be great if it would just kind of squash itself. And lastly, masking. We all heard the rumblings this week about masking and last week. And look, I'm the first one to want to get rid of this mask. I'm ready. I can get rid of it right this second. I would. Dr. Sakin, however we can figure out how to get out of this sooner, because we're in a rural community, great. You know, we're doing everything we're told. We're keeping the masks on the kids. We're keeping the masks on ourselves. That's all great, wonderful, fine and dandy, but the science isn't backing up that the masking is doing a whole lot. So, however, if there's any way that we can push back, great. But I do hear the community comments. I hear my neighbors, I hear everybody, the masking is miserable. We all agree. And I'll keep it brief at that point. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Good evening. First thing I want to do is I want to give my thoughts out to Ms. Lepp in her efforts to, and her medical concerns that she's having in her chemotherapy. All the best to her, because I know it's going to be a challenge. I guided my mom through it when she was sick, but not anywhere near, I think, what Ms. Lepp is going through at her age and stuff. So I wishing the best to her all the way through. Again, got to repeat the counselors, Nicole, Tiffany, absolutely all three of you doing a great job. Please keep it up. With the COVID-19, as everyone is expressing, is that we're seeing some encouraging numbers coming down, that the tough tasks that we've endured, the directions, the restrictions, the mandates, everything that's coming around, but we're still not we're not at the shore yet. So I looked at it and I keep thinking about where am I at? And I said, well, I'm in the red zone. I'm not in the end zone yet. I'm there. I'm making progress. So as we get these reports, we look forward to the time when LA Department of Public Health, LACO, the people that are outside of our community will give us some leeway that we can take local control of that and take responsibility for that we can make some adjustments to get ourselves back to something normal. It's tantalizing, but we're not there yet. It's almost like science. Every other day there's some new report because it's not static. It changes every day. So the numbers are encouraging. I've been reading about it. I've been talking about it. I'm following them over that everything's coming down. Ours aren't as fast as theirs, but we hope that it continues. You know, we have a rural community. There are people commute. So we have different circumstances and our kids' safety is the foremost. So I'm looking forward to a report mid-March. Maybe that's when we get the touchdown and we're in, and then we could start making some adjustments for everybody's benefit. So we'll be looking forward to that from you. I heard from Mr. Sparks' comments, I'm not sure if I heard him right correctly, but there were two teachers that had some medical concerns in the classroom that I was not aware of. Do we have an update on them?
We do have Ms. Shaw here. I do want to say that in a confident manner that what was reported was a misnomer in terms of strokes happening in the classroom. I'll leave it at that.
So I just want to make sure that our staff are getting the medical attention if there is something, and I would not want to make sure that we're alerted to that if there's any reports of that happening. On the
Absolutely. Communicating to my board, that would have happened if what was reported was accurate. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Appreciate it. And then finally, I'm really excited to hear about the ABC course on campus with 17 students. I recall when we did that way back in, gosh, 05, 06, whatever it is, we tried it with them. And they came in there and I sat there, and this is great exposure for students on how the professor will talk to them as opposed to a high school teacher. They're going to be talking to them like young adults. You're responsible. You're here. We move on. And it's a great transition for them to be alerted to. And I think they're going to enjoy the class. I hope we can get some additional courses there as we go through to give our kids the opportunity to experience that, get that dual credit. So I know that you probably had a lot of work with this. You had a lot of work with this. Everybody, whoever got this together. Thank you for getting that back for our students, and hopefully we can expose that again to some other courses for them along the way. And last, I'd like to close out with a little kind of a personal recognition on my behalf that I heard about just about an hour ago, and that I'm really proud of because I taught all of her kids. And it's our board member, Miss Jensen, was recognized by the leading director of curriculum and instruction for Region 15, the AV district. And now she's going to be going on to compete at the state level. And of course, it's not with our district, but it is because she lives here, she's on our board, so we get 80% of that, 20% goes to AV, to Fondell. And I know that it's a lot of work, but your dedication and commitment to curriculum, you're bringing it here, helping us here at Act in our district, you do it in your own district, and I know it's a lot of work. And you well deserved, Kelly, and I want to extend my appreciation and thanks for that.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure every other word will be, yes, and my job at Acton Agua Dulce, and my job at Acton Agua Dulce.
I always look after Acton.
That did go, well, it's an alphabetical order. We're first, Fondell second, right? Okay, got it. Okay.
Tim,
Yes.
entertain me, please.
Mr. Falsgrove.
I am under the impression that in the event that there is some type of support necessary, I'm going to be as gentle with this as I can. I know in my workplace, we have the Maple Center. If I were to show up tomorrow morning to be an alcoholic, I could go to the Maple Center and seek help the help of my agency and HR. If I had an addiction problem, if I were having a problem with the loss of a family member or any type of psychological issue, there is support available for me through my employer. Does the district have anything like that where employees could go see someone and have their dignity and remain anonymous in doing that and not be shamed?
Well, they did when I was working here. Do we still have it?
Yes.
Okay.
The EAP
I'm
program.
gonna zoom this forward quickly because, yeah, the comments that I hear week after week are concerning in a number of ways. So site principals, you have a pulse on your staff. If you see someone that needs some help, please know what the resource is in the district, please. There's nothing wrong with not being on all the time. Okay?
And with that, Ms. Shaw has materials, literature for staff. So just to echo the board's sentiment in terms of you referring to HR, Ms. Shaw has the confidence, I want to say, of the entire district. So we have the EAP program, Employee Assistance Program, and everything is held in confidence for our staff.
Just because I'm not hearing about it is probably a sign that it's effective. I can tell from some of the responses I'm seeing over here that, you know, these people actually care. They care about their team. So there's no shame in seeking help. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. I'm done.
Okay, I would close out with Ms. Shaw and Dr. Saki, and that I'm sure that we provide a level of services and care to our students in an appropriate manner, that we may revisit new employees that are here, staff, site administrators are being on the lookout, because our staff needs support as well, and making sure that they're aware of that these services are available. And sometimes it's difficult, it's a choice they make, but we need to make sure that we revisit them, that they know that they have that available to them. Okay, moving on. Number 9, the consent agenda. The consent agenda has 2 items. B is the minutes of the regular board meeting 1/27/22, and C, the warrant register. Do I have a motion to? Chad moves. Pardon me?
Sorry, did I miss it? Did you read in D as well?
No, D's item 12. The warrant, the par is going to be 12. What's that?
The approval of master contract with professional tutors.
Yeah, that's part of the warrant register.
Oh, okay,
While
sorry.
we're sorting this out, I want to pull one item off the warrant register with a question,
Well,
brief.
Hold on, Mr. Falsgrove. Let me make sure I read this right. So the other, third item was the approval of the master contract with Professional Tutors of America Incorporated. Mr. Falsgrove.
Yeah, when it comes to the warrant register, I would like to get to page, I can't see, page 2. And I want to talk a little bit about Behavioral Learning Center.
Okay. Do we have a motion to consider the Kelly, Chad moved it in? Do I have a second to move it in for discussion?
Brianna second.
Brianna second. Go ahead.
Brianna. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the warrant register, Mr. Fallscraft.
Very quickly, page 2, behavioral services, behavioral learning center. I don't know that it's necessary that we display it. Is Behavioral Learning Center a supplemental vendor to our special education program? So we are supporting children that need behavioral analysis. So this is more than one child. So it's a support to the entire special education program.
Who's responding to that?
I see a lot of head nodding.
Yes.
Well, I
You
know
need
where
to
you're
stand
at.
up so
We're
we
not
can-
going to announce that Tammy Fallscraft gets the service every once in a while in her assessment that happens once a month by terms of her IEP. By the way, her IEP is great. That's something else you gotta do. Don't ever get to talk about. Tammy's really happy, guys. Thank you. So that said, we are bringing in specialized services as necessary to address the needs of kids who have severe behavioral problems in this district.
That's correct.
I'm done. Thank you.
Any further board discussion? Okay, can I call the question on the consent calendar, please?
Kelly Jensen, I.
Fallscraft, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0. Number 10A, PBIS overview presentation. Dr. Zahakian?
Yes, sir. We've heard it from Ms. Haley. We've heard it from our board. We are aware of heightened social emotional needs of our students reacclimating to in-person instruction. We're appreciative of the district adopted of an initiative of PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. The initiative is well underway. Thank you to the entire district staff. Our diligent counselors will be presenting an overview of this initiative. So without further ado, our dynamic team, Ms. Tiffany and Ms. Nicole.
Okay. First, you guys make us all emotional, and then we have to present to you. Thanks for that.
All part of the test. It's all part of the test.
Okay, so good evening. We're going to be presenting a little bit broader than PBIS because PBIS is one of the pillars of MTSS. So this presentation is going to provide a snapshot of where our district currently stands with MTSS implementation. We will be covering specific programs and how our school sites are addressing all students' academic, behavioral, and socio-emotional needs. Fancy, I'm even get it quicker. Okay, so what is MTSS? MTSS is multi-tiered system of support. This is a California initiative that is data-driven, problem-solving framework to improve outcomes for all students. MTSS relies on a continuum of evidence-based practices matched to student needs and provides school districts with a basis for how educators can work together to ensure equitable access and opportunity for all students. The core pillars of MTSS framework include academic instruction, which is supported by response to instruction and intervention, also known as RTI, behavior instruction through positive behavior intervention and supports, also known as PBIS, and socio-emotional learning, also known as SEL, guided by the California SEL principles. In the area of academics, our district TOSAs are coordinating intervention efforts to help address student educational gaps, implementing tiered level supports, and helping to develop systems to ensure academic equity for all students' individual needs. In the area of behavior, our district and school site administrators have been coordinating efforts with site level PBIS teams to develop full implementation of PBIS strategies within the classroom and school campus to provide a positive learning environment and campus culture. In the area of socio-emotional, our district MTSS, in collaboration with our district mental health staff,
has helped to organize and support California SEL standards, responsive support services based on students' identified needs, and implement support systems on each campus.
So the district MTSS team consists of district administration, TOSAs, and the mental health team. So this group meets weekly to support implementation of MTSS through the ongoing facilitation of support programs, organizing resources and materials, and collaborating across all sites and related teams and committees. Shout out to the MTSS team. Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Okay, so we decided to make it a little bit easier and just throw up all the logos. These are all the things that you guys as a school board have been approving over the last couple of years as we continue to roll out our MTSS implementation. So over the last 2 years, our district administrators have been working with each school to assess student needs and begin the MTSS implementation process. Our MTSS teams have attended LACO MTSS training and are working to refine the overall district plan and implementation for greater cohesion between the sites. Our site Pbis teams have attended LACO Pbis training and continually to refine site implementation. Shout out to our administrators because they're the ones spearheading the Pbis initiatives on our site campuses. And I know they'll be having detailed site presentations later on down the road for you guys. So they have some exciting stuff planned. Our district is also currently working with Branching Minds. So that is a name that you guys seen recently. They are a data system that tracks all data for our students, including universal screeners, suggested interventions, tiers of support for all components of MTSS, which includes RTI, Pbis, and SEL. We are currently in the process of uploading all of our student data and integrating data and training our administrators and support staff. Our Nearpod SEL curriculum was piloted in the 2021 school year, and a full rollout of embedded SEL content within classroom instruction has begun this school year in all school sites. Materials for strategic academic summer intervention. So our TOSA spearheaded the intervention practices starting in summer. They piloted a lot of our intervention programs to help fulfill some of the learning loss during the pandemic. So that some of those were 98% phonics, write reflections, and move with math. And then as you can see, some of the current programs, our MTSS team kind of coordinated the list with us. So we are not involved in all of these things, but Nicole Chun, Candace Palacio, Jana Largent, Alexa Leb, all of those people are working on this. So Move with Math is hands-on math materials and lessons implemented as a support in middle school math intervention. Renaissance STAR, CBM, and Early Literacy is a universal screener for ELA and math. Sonde System, explicit discrete phonics and structured literacy intervention program currently implemented in the elementary as part of Tier 1 and Tier 2 intervention program. Additional kits have been purchased for intervention and SPED. We are in the process of training more staff. Nearpod, we currently use not only for supplemental classroom instructional support while we were on distance learning, but they also have libraries with content for SEL, our EL services for our students that are in our ELD program, and also college and career curriculum that helps support our counseling staff as well. Tools for universal supports. Read and Write is a suite of tools that include speech to text, text to speech, translation, visual dictionary, note-taking tools added all district user Chrome. Edpuzzle utilizes video and audio for both presentation and student demonstration of learning. Quizzes closes feedback loop, immersive reader, audio and video responses. Avid, we have scheduled site teams to attend our summer institute this summer. So all of our site teams have volunteered certain staff to go, and so that way we can start implementing Avid next year. IXL and eSpark is an adaptive personalized practice of IXL math. It's used in grades 6 through 12, and reading is used in grades 6 through 8. eSpark is used in grades 2 through 4. Aludo is our platform to expand and track our professional development for all staff in our district. We're in the process of developing the learning missions with the Aludo team. Also another committee I'm on. Gaggle is our district safety team, has been fully trained and procedures have been implemented to respond to all Gaggle safety alerts. Dr. Sahakian also asked for us to give a little bit of a snapshot on how Gaggle's been going since we started it in November. So we brought a little bit of that for you guys. Here we go.
Okay, so since our implementation of Gaggle, which started in November, we have been alerted to 17 incidents. 10 of those alerts were suicidal ideation or self-harm. 2 alerts were of violence or harm to others. 2 alerts were of drug use, and 3 alerts were of inappropriate conduct. So Gaggle provides us with alerts so that we may take matters into the situation as soon as possible, working with administrators on the mental health team. And our district is then able to coordinate a rapid response and respond with services for the students that need it.
So I would say it has been very effective. Okay, also outside of Gaggle, this is an update of our current, oh, here we go. So I know it's been talked about quite a bit, but I'm a numbers person. So he also asked us to share the numbers of where we're currently at as a whole. So this is in comparison to prior to the pandemic. So we hear about it all the time in the news and in the papers that this is the biggest mental health crisis we have seen for our students. This is the real raw data for our district. As you can see, even though we are just barely halfway through our school year, the number of mental health concerns and alerts have, in some cases, more than doubled. And we're doing everything we can as a district, as our site staff has been amazing at being responsive to student needs. Our students are struggling and we are doing everything we can to support them. And we appreciate all the support you guys have had tonight, because it's a tough year and the numbers don't lie. And we just appreciate this district and how much support that we felt in our area and hope to continue that. So thank you guys.
Is there any board member conversation question?
No, I'm looking at the numbers as well, Salcedo, and those numbers are alarming. So thank you for sharing the Gaggle information, because I know there was a lot of conversation about whether or not we should vote for Gaggle, and I know I made some comments about how important that I felt it was. And so thank you for sharing that information. 10 in 4 months is alarming, as well as your other numbers. So thank you for sharing that, and thanks for the work that you do. And just keep letting us know if that you need extra support or what you need. And also thank you for sharing the MTSS report. I was thinking as you guys were talking, I could follow along because I know all the acronyms. I'm like, oh my goodness, we need a little acronym booklet for our audience, you know, with all the acronyms that we use. But thank you very much.
Here's what I'll say. Tim, what did they say? What are they saying? I don't know what they're saying. What I heard is this. So we went from the Falls Draft kid being a punk in the class and not understanding what's wrong and feeling stupid and being sent to the principal's office. So now what you're telling me is not only am I being behaviorally stabilized, but I have all these tools to try to reach me, so I feel like I'm turning into somebody, that I have value as a student and as a member of the community of school. Is that what this is? So when did we start this TOSA program? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago. Okay. And from what I see, Miss Chun, she used to tell me about all kinds of computer stuff when Kendra was like this tall. I'm like, wow, whatever. That's cool. Yeah, nice to meet you. Kendra do that. I'm out. But it looks to me like there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. I want to ask you this. It's only I would ask this question because I'm that rude. Write this one down. If you had not done what you've done in the last 2 years, what would those numbers look like? I don't mean any disrespect to what's going, do you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. Kim, you should tell us what's going on more often, not like when I'm completely surprised and look like a derelict 3 years after it happens. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
I appreciate your report. It was incredibly enlightening. When I look at the names of the people that are on your district team, it's not shocking whose names are up there. That is a team of absolutely incredible people individually. So coming together is amazing. So I thank every one of you for doing what you do. And then the different teams that are at the school sites, trying to implement at the school sites. I thank every single one of you that are involved in all of this. The Gaggle report, when we were voting on that, it was a matter of contention. And I remember us talking about if it saves one life, it is worth it. So here we are a few months later, it was worth it. It was worth it. Money well spent. And I'm pretty sure every single one of us would vote over and over and over to get that again. I just want to point that one out. We talk about mental health a lot and how it's so important right now and how everybody is just feeling all of the things, staff and parents and students. When you put it up like this is hard to look at. We hear it. This is hard to look at. So for us, having this be hard to look at, I can't imagine how it is in your school offices. I sit in a school office daily, so I know how it is in the school office. We don't see how it is behind those closed doors. We don't see those confidential meetings. You guys do. Site administration does. So you guys feel this every day. So this is alarming, and it's good for everybody to see, because I don't think that everybody understands that this is what's going on in our schools. So thank you for sharing this, even though this is tough to see. I appreciate that you guys brought this to us. So thank you for what you're doing with our MTSS and all of the things that you're doing for that. So thank you.
Thank you for your report, ladies. I appreciate it. I think it's pretty clear just in the year that I've been here that we're moving in the right direction with different programs. Gaggle being one of them. I think it was a necessity for us to have, and all of the other tools that you guys are utilizing. It just goes to prove to me that it's all worth it. I'll keep my comments short. That the suicidal rate kind of touches me deep. I've personally been affected by it, and you know, people that are listening, or there's kids out there, there's always a way out. There's always somebody to help, and I hope that we're stressing that in every possible way that we possibly can, because no matter how bad life looks in the moment, we can fix it. We can get around it. Things can change. So thank you, ladies, from the bottom of my heart for your report. I appreciate it.
First comments along with this, Jensen. I'm looking at all the acronyms and I'm going, okay, hold on a second here. Okay, I know that one. I know that one. I'm okay, talk about that one. Yeah, but I know that it's contributions we make because each of them have their place and their role. So one teacher will use one because that's good for their students and their content and what they're doing on one campus, and then another one. So I'm glad that we're willing to provide those tools, and with your guidance that they're going to be implemented, staff is going to get the training so they can realize how it can be more efficient for their classroom and how they transmit their content, and we recognize student needs. So that, oh my God, look at all those acronyms. Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, I know that it's a lot, but those are resources that are necessary that we have to provide our staff during these challenging times. when it gets to gaggle, that report that came through there, it's tough. It's tough. And I recall, I wish we'd have had this in 2006 because we would have had a chance to do something. You are heroes for these kids. To take those numbers, as difficult as they are, because a lot of times the gaggle alert is someone saying, help me. Please talk to me. I got to find somebody to talk. They don't know how or where. That provides you a tool and the staff on site the tools of intervening makes it do some positive things. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead. All right. Number 11, LA Arts Collective Presentation Overview. Dr. Hockey.
Yeah, hard to move on from that. But yes, LA Arts Collective presentation. The LA Arts Collective initiative is well underway. Thank you to the participants, to Mr. Mirza. They would like to provide a mid-year update to the progress of the heavy lift of planning the blueprint for our school district and the arts education fulfillment for K-12. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and refer to Mr. Mirza, and we'll have a short presentation on the mid-year report. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, board members. We have the LA County Arts consultants with us tonight, Melissa Valencia and Kimberly Arn. And they've been helping us through the whole process and writing our strategic plan. So they have a short presentation and we'll go from there.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Arn. I'm here with Melissa Valencia. And hi. We are from the LA County Department of Arts and Culture, the Arts Education Collective, and we are serving as the Arts Ed coaches for your district this year. So I am going to share my screen and we're going to just take you through an update of where we're at with the development of the strategic plan. Okay, so for those who don't know, the work of the LA County Department of Arts and Culture, Arts Education Collective, is work that is spearheaded by the Board of Supervisors and is a partnership with the LA County Office of Education. And the work began 2 decades ago when community leaders sought to advance arts education in public schools throughout Los Angeles and the county. And the ultimate goal was to ensure that all students grow up with the arts as a core part of a quality public education. Right here on the slide, that vision has evolved into a broader vision to read as every young person in LA County engages in the arts all year, every year, because the arts are fundamental to human growth, development, and I will add, well-being. So there are 81 school districts in LA County, and today 74 of the 81 and 5 charter school networks are engaged in a partnership with the LA County Arts Ed Collective. And just to give you an idea of the work that we provide in supporting school districts, the number one thing that we do is we support school districts with developing a strategic plan for arts education. But we also provide professional development opportunities for arts coordinators, arts leads, teacher professional development, and most of all, grants to support key priorities that districts have identified as what they need to implement the art. So the grant program is pretty large. And this year, Acton, I'll talk a little bit more about the grant that they're applying for in this year as they complete their plan. So I'm going to pass this over to Melissa, and she's going to share with you the journey that we've been on. this
Thank
year.
you, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, school board, for allowing us to be here and present to you about the great work that this team is doing. We're really excited about it. So as you can see, this is our planning journey, and we have come quite far in our journey so far. So as you can see, first you as a district enrolled in this journey. And then we established a planning team of diverse stakeholders. And I have to say, congratulations to you for having the kind of people within your district and your community that are willing to step up and do the work. And we've just so enjoyed their passion for the arts and their passion for the community. It's been very, very encouraging to us as coaches. We went on to define our practical vision that helped us to guide the plan development. We took a look at what is the current reality? What are the assets and strengths and challenges in the district? And then we identified strategic directions and established what our key priorities would be. And right now, we are just about to start establishing an action plan for implementation of the strategic arts plan. And as you can see, the other 3 steps that are left are those steps where we will present the plan to you as a school board when it's completed, and then the implementation of the plan and evaluation and progress and reflection on where we go. And all that is to get to our desired future of establishing Acton Agua Dulce district as a leader in arts education in this part of the North County of Los Angeles. And we hope and we believe that is going to be the case. Go ahead, Kimberly. No, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so as you saw in the spiral, one of the first things we wanted to ensure was that there was a vision that was built that would describe what the district wanted to see as far as arts education. And I'll pass it back to you, Melissa, to start talking about the vision elements.
Okay, so we set out to develop vision elements for this plan, and the first one, and the question we asked is, in 5 years, we want to see the following in place as a result of our actions. So here are the visions that we came up with, that your team came up with. I shouldn't say we did, because it was the team.
Yes. The first vision element is district level coordination and advocacy for the arts.
And the next one is dynamic, reciprocal community involvement and partnerships.
Access to comprehensive pre-K music instruction.
High quality instructional arts programs.
Immersive interdisciplinary experience-based arts education.
Sustainable ongoing funding and dedicated spaces for the arts.
Ongoing and practical professional development.
Collaborative, consistent, and inclusive opportunities to showcase visual and performing arts.
So every plan has a strategic directions that are created to support achieving the vision. And I consider them the pillars of the plan that house the goals. So I'm going to share the strategic directions, and Melissa will let you know what those goals are that live inside of that strategic direction. So the first strategic direction is implement a well-rounded, sustainable, and equitable arts program.
So the goals within that strategic direction are to create a robust and articulated trajectory of arts learning, to implement sustainable and equitable arts instruction, and to provide professional development and resources for teachers, staff, and administrators. So that's all within that first strategic direction.
The next strategic direction is foster and strengthen community partnerships and involvement.
And the goals within that strategic direction are to support students with a lifelong appreciation for the arts and access to creative career pathways. And secondly, partner with the community to implement and deepen arts instructions and experiences.
And the next strategic direction, create ongoing administration, coordination, and funding.
And again, the goals within that strategic direction are to build systems of coordination and communication, to secure funding for resources, equipment, and programming, and to establish designated and appropriate spaces for the arts. So this is what we call the priority wedge. So I know as you look at it and as I talk about it, you might feel like these are action steps, but they really aren't. This priority wedge, it's a way of anchoring our action planning. So in other words, what will come first that will allow all the other things to then fall into place? These are overarching priorities that will help us to then eventually implement, or help you to eventually implement the plan. And again, it's different than actions. It is again an overarching priority. So in the point of the wedge, you can see the first one is, and your team felt that this was very crucial and critical to getting the plan implemented. So that would be to include funding and coordination for the arts in the LCAP, apply for grants and seek other funding sources for implementation. So that is financial and business partnerships, those type of things. So again, this is kind of the key part of this, the priority wedge, to get all the other things going. So the team felt that funding and coordination in the arts needed to be included in the LCAP, and that having those funding sources would also help this plan to have feet. Then in our next two sections, you'll see that they would like to appoint an arts coordinator or a system of coordination, and then also to develop a needs assessment to know what personnel, professional development, and spaces are needed. So again, these things going on as priorities to get the plan implemented. And then in the last part of that wedge, hiring teachers and personnel and needs, and provide PD. And then address the need for spaces and facilities. And finally, establish protocols for the community involvement. That is a community involvement plan. And I just, as a personal note, I would just like to say that I know that I have been very impressed by the community's resources and the desire for the community to really come in partnership with the school district. And we don't often always see that in some communities. So you guys are very fortunate to have that.
Yes. And then in closing, we just wanted to share what the next steps are. And I mentioned grant opportunities. So your district is currently applying for the Arts Ed Collective Advancement Grant to support a priority in the plan. And then our next steps are to map that 5-year implementation plan, which goes from 2022 to 2027. And that's primarily the timeline of actions, activities, and events that will occur over the next 5 years. And year 1 of the plan begins next year. And once we are done with the plan this year, we plan on sharing the strategic plan with the school board.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to bring you in on what's been going on with our team.
Board member questions or discussion?
Kimberly, I know on the screen, I'm like little tiny person with the mask, but it's Kelly Jensen from Palmdale.
I saw you earlier and I was like, there's Kelly. So good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much, you guys, for the great presentation. The arts are so important. You know, I'm passionate about the arts. I think our community will really enjoy having the arts, and we have parents wanting it in our schools. So I appreciate you working with our team. And Kimberly, I know you're really good about helping develop a strategic plan. So thank you so much for that. I don't really have any questions because I'm familiar. So just great ideas, and I'm very impressed with what our team has developed. So thank you for doing that. And so yes, well, I very much support the arts. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Hi, I'm Ken Falls. I think I have another take on this. This is a very strange night, guys. We're gonna go back into your world here. I have a story to tell you. I have a different look at art. I can walk through the Beverly Hills Art Show twice a year and buy pottery and look at everything. We have a very vibrant arts community here. I'm gonna say this, if it wasn't for Sandy Madsen, there would be no music in this town. The Acton Agua Dulce Arts Council, if you're an artist, if you're a personal artist, you do crafts or whatever you do, they're looking for people to display your personal art at the library, so reach out to them. There's a lot of artists in this town, but I glue tin cans on guitars. That doesn't make me an artist, and it certainly doesn't make me a good inputter to hear, but I have a different take on this. I want to tell you all a story. I want you to take a trip to a place right outside of Hannibal, Missouri, where Mark Twain was born, about 1967, maybe 1968. I know the story of a little kid there. He came to school every day wearing the exact same clothes. Came from a different place. He landed in this town because somebody's pipeline job ran out. His family was broken, jammed together by circumstances. And there were a lot of things that were wrong in a two-room shack with a screen porch with no running water, an outdoor toilet. And school got out, and the art teacher came to the door one morning after school went out, and she had a bag of crayons and paper and pastels and other stuff, and spoke with the mother of the little boy and said, "Here, I want to make sure this boy has these things." And that visit wasn't about art, because that teacher knew that the marks were showing up on that little boy and his behaviors at school were not art or performance theater. And somebody learned a lesson about art that day, and it was to stop beating that little boy. And it worked for a while until we moved somewhere else. Guys, where there is no art, there is no identity. And when a child has no way to express himself through music or art or something that they can draw, it turns into tribalism, where people who can remember things through rote memory suddenly become ranked. And this is where people fall through the cracks, and you're left to deal with them. I would very much, so much appreciate your input to whatever this is. It has to be in there. Some kids don't learn well. I'll give you something. We're going to go from that to this. I would say that if you could understand the phylotactic fraction of a date palm by drawing it, you could understand geometry. Look up what I just said. It's real. STEAM programs. Who knows STEAM, STEM? Which one has the arts in it? Has anyone ever figured out how to draw a perspective and then teach the kid, wait a minute, that's geometry right there. So we have after school enrichment programs. The thing that would make me the most upset about this is if all this turns into is an after school enrichment program where people who are participated in the input are at some point giving away sympathy scholarships to kids, like the kid in Missouri with the same shirt on every day. I think this can serve, and guys, sorry to drag you into this, but I got a feeling that you guys have touched the lives of 100 and 1,000 and 100,000 kids who would fit into what's historically been the Title I group. Am I wrong? Presenters. Can they not hear me?
I'm sorry, the question about Title I specifically?
Yeah, I would bet that a lot of the kids that you have helped through your program development in their schools are kids that have historically been Title I kids, free and reduced lunch programs, social economically challenged, SPED programs.
Yeah, I would say that, of course, the arts, when we support districts with developing plans, we are supporting them with making sure that there's equitable access, that all students are receiving access to the arts. So absolutely.
Thank you. That's a very political, correct way of saying that. And I talk like that when I'm at work too. But the bottom line is there are more kids in this county that don't have than that do. Okay, I have a question for you, Superintendent. I understand the 30,000-foot group that inputted into this, the artists of the community, all that. Please tell me a little bit about the makeup of the group, what the consistency. I'm not so much concerned about, you know, the art profiles and stuff. What I am concerned about is that you have a fair number of participants, and how would you characterize those? And please tell me that there was somebody there that was representing the stuff I'm talking about, please.
Sure, Mr. Falsgraf. Early on in the school year, just for the recruitment purpose of this robust committee, the cabinet, Mr. Mirza, put out to all parents of our wonderful district the opportunity to put in their name for this collective and to be a participant. So currently we have about 15 participants. Out of the 15, there are 4 teachers. We have admin, we have parents, community members, activists within the community. We have a student, and there's a student's voice. I just want to kind of tag a little bit offshoot, but it's related to this. We surveyed our 4th, 7th, and 10th grade students as well to get, you know, their input in terms of the types of visual performing arts they would be interested in as well. That the committee for LA Arts Collective, that's still open for anyone who's interested to participate so that we have a well-rounded, diverse group.
Maybe I need to be a little bit more clear. Were there any participants that would represent ELAC, DLAC, any of the Title I groups, any special education, anything like that? Does anything come to your attention along those lines?
In terms of, I'm sorry, Kimberly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can share that
Chief Rose.
those topics have definitely come up in the conversation amongst the members of the group, that we have been highlighting how important it is to make sure that whatever goals and actions are created are making sure that we're dealing with students who have been historically underserved when it comes to the arts. So there are very vocal members of the team who are standing up in that way.
Ma'am, you're talking about our team, our focus group that worked with you.
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. I think staff understands what I'm saying. I don't want 3 years from now hear that this is eroded into violins lessons for the select few. I did see the survey results. This is the most promising thing for me, because after the 30,000-foot review by community members and input, the students are here. And I don't think there's a way to identify the students. I think everybody could participate if they wanted to. I think this is the most significant data. So sorry to be emotional. It happens once in my life and you're all here to see it tonight. But it's really, really important to me that this turns into something that helps the kid who wonders if he's going to eat tomorrow, please. Thanks.
And Mr. Falsgraf, if I could just make a quick comment. I love the fact that the committee's been very mindful and thoughtful of tying the proposal to our existing and approved LCAP plan that serves our ELs and serves our socioeconomically disadvantaged students.
I would just like to thank you for your presentation and thank everybody on the committee in the background for all your hard work. It's definitely much appreciated.
Thank you for your presentation tonight. I appreciate it. It's great to see that Ken has some emotion and he's actually a real human. So I'm all for the arts. So however we can make it happen, let's do it. Thank you again.
This is exciting to hear. I can remember when we were on the old campus at the high school and we didn't have anything, and I was talking with Dr. Zahaki, and we had the ROP support program, and we had a local resident who was doing the choir and play production, and we were building stages out in the middle of the quad, and they were doing outdoor plays, and kids were having a great time. And now we've come to a new campus, and we have theater facilities at all 3 of our campuses, that this will be something that each grade level can have. And we had Miss Carnival had an exceptional art class that was always full. We were turning kids away, and they put on great shows. So I know it's there, and I'm glad to see that we're bringing this back. And I talked to my brothers and sister, and I can recall when I was in 5th grade, the school took all the 5th graders down to the LA Philharmonic, and we sat way up at the top, and that huge chandelier was out there, and we'd look way down there. And the music that we were exposed to then is still in our heads, and it's been an inspiration for us. And I've spoken to Mrs. Shaw about this, that I'm hoping that we can do something for our kids to take them out of this rural community and take them to something like the Philharmonic and some play production. Leave your cell phones at home, go figure out what's going on and impress them in the importance of the arts and music. I think it's just absolutely fabulous. So thank you for your presentation, and look forward to the strategic plan. Yes, sir. All right. 11B, the Vasquez High School camera agreement. Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. So we have attached to the board agenda for mass consumption a template for the contract, a general template for the contract. We also have waiting in the wings on the Zoom call, the representative from the vendor that will provide us with information regarding the breakdown of the contract, as well as Q&A by the representative from the company. So essentially, it's back on the agenda as kind of pressing the restart button to start the process from where it really needs to begin. So without further ado.
Before we continue, do we need to make a motion to extend the meeting a little bit? It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to make a motion to go to 10:30.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion is to extend the board meeting from 10 to 10:30. It's been a second call to question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Paulsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Watson, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Board meeting extended to 10:30. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Mr. Mirza, can you do the honors of presenting our guest speaker, please? Thank you.
Hello, board members. We have Mark Robert Rothberg online, and he's going to go over the contract and kind of talk about the program, give you some details, and then open it up for questions that you guys may have.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Can someone just raise their hand? Just make sure. Yeah, thank you. Robert Rothberg, Play on Sports from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to do it really quick. I'm going to tell you who we are. I'll tell you what we do. And then I'll tell you why I believe I'm here. And I think y'all have some questions. I'm going to try to share a screen. I'm going to, again, be conscious of everyone's time. I'm having trouble sharing a screen. So I'll just talk through this. So who we are is Play on Sports. We're the largest broadcaster of high school sports in the United States. This year, we will have 1 million live high school sports events streamed. That's on the NFHS network. The NFHS network is a partnership between Play on Sports, a media company that I work for in Atlanta, the National Federation, that's the NFHS, National Federation of State High School Athletic Associations, and approximately 60 high school athletic associations from around the country, including the CIF Southern section, which I believe your district falls under in the CIF. We also have 8,000 active broadcasting schools. And again, we broadcast regular season sports events at all levels, freshman, JV, varsity. And then we are rights holders for state high school athletic associations, as I mentioned, and broadcast postseason playoffs, state tournaments, and state championships. As part of our program, we provide a software platform, hardware, services to allow your schools to broadcast using artificial intelligence, meaning that we set these systems up in your school. I believe we're in Vasquez High School, excuse me, with 2 camera systems. Those camera systems turn on and off by themselves at the appointed starting times when we schedule all of your events. They broadcast those events behind a subscription paywall available to consumers. And as part of that, as part of a consumer subscription, your fans can support your schools through a revenue sharing program. And over the past 8 years, we've given close to, I believe, $10 million back to participating schools back, on the platform. That's who we are. That's what we do. I believe I am here that there was a contract that was signed last July by a teacher who had good intentions, and we certainly didn't know, but was an unauthorized signer from the district's perspective. Our hardware has been installed in the high school, I believe in the gym and in the stadium. And my understanding is that the board would like to ask some questions, and that if we're going to continue to move forward together, which it sounds like the school would like to do so, we certainly would like to do so. You guys had some questions, and I'm happy to take those.
I don't really have any questions, just confirming that the camera only goes on when we send you our schedule.
That is correct. You send you send us your game schedules, or we have data integrations. If you have partners where those schedules are entered in other places, such as Arbiter, Max Preps, other services. But one way or another, those cameras only turn on and turn off at the appointed time during those games.
And I think I also read that it can also be done manually from can we manually add a game? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. You can both add a game anytime you want, and then authorized users of the school or the district can go in if game schedules change, or, the game's canceled, moved, or whatever. Yeah, you have flexibility to do so.
Yeah, because I think I read that in the contract. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Can we just pull the contract up? Pull the contract up for me, please, staff. We'll get through this very quickly. I work for a public agency. It is my job to make sure taxpayer business conducted appropriately. Go to the last page, please. Yeah, I'm good. I'll start screaming here in a minute. Let's get to the last page where the signatures are. I do not believe, sir, that we have a legal contract with you at this moment. Is that correct?
That is what we have been told.
That's probably why you're here, right? So we're going to have an open discussion about a contract using taxpayer funds. So right now, where's the signature page? So it seemed to me that if you're making a proposal, your signature, somebody from your group is probably on there, and that makes sense. Last page. So we get up to the top there and keep going. There we are. There's somebody's signature named Mark Rothberg. And this is you proposing the terms of this contract to the district so we can make this a legal contract.
Yes.
Good. Next question. There's a couple of things that people aren't clear about. There's a newspaper article here. I think I was bemoaning. I hope I'm not bemoaning you, sir, but here's a couple questions. They look terrible and I look stupid in them. Thank you. Man, my oil field friends will pay for this footage. Okay, back to reality, sir. I made the comment because there's an understanding that only people that pay from our district can see our games. And I thought, you guys are a huge network. You rely on volume to make the price low for individuals. Okay, can we kill the chat box? I'm interested in seeing what I can see on the screen. Thanks. So this idea, here's the question, point blank. If I buy an annual subscription as a Vasquez parent, can I see any other game on the network besides Vasquez and whoever they're playing that day? Do I have access to any other games?
Yes. It's like Netflix. When you buy a subscription pass, you can watch anything on the network. So you can watch all 1 million games.
So if I want to watch the kids in Winter, North Dakota or South Dakota, think about that. If you want to name your town something, Winter is it. Winter, South Dakota. If I own a pass, as long as they're playing and I know their schedule, I can see it.
Correct.
Good. So this is not, you buy something, you get access. It's like watching television. Okay. So I think that cleared that up. That was one of the questions. So your product is available because you have a lot of volume and your customers apparently like what you're selling. I also understand that when you have a sole source product, it's not your company's fault that everybody else isn't as smart as you to build a product like this. And I'm sure at some point people will start copying you and there'll be some other whatever. But to this point, there has to be, if you're the only person who can bid this, you got to go through some of this and you're doing really well. What else we got in here? Okay. You've got a contract here that basically says that some people are worried. I heard from somebody, kind of the same people that were trashing me in this newspaper, and all of a sudden the newspaper is worried that you have sole source on content, meaning if I catch your grandma taking a YouTube video of you playing basketball, you people are going to come down on those people because you own the content. At what point does that get ridiculous?
Well, actually, you own the school district and the school owns the content. You're giving us a license to broadcast the content. We're
But
asking.
you don't have like the YouTube camera police there yourself jumping people because they took a movie, like the local newspaper wanted to feature a couple minutes of the movie. You're not going to take legal action against them.
Well, you bring up a couple points. One, there's fair use. So journalistic use of content is allowed, and those are fair use laws.
In my world.
And then the second one would be user generated content, which is, mom or dad or grandma from the stands. And we're not really interested in that. So we have no interest in enforcing anything like that ourselves, nor would we ask you to do so.
So you're in Atlanta, Georgia, where they have all-star wrestling. I went to school in Oklahoma where they have drilling rigs. So between us, we could figure out the journalistic content would include a newspaper.
Correct.
So the newspaper is going to get shut down because they showed a picture of the kids, right? Good. Next. You understand that we have to hold harmless contracts, and the people that come on our campuses get background checked through our Raptor system. And, you didn't start here, I don't imagine. So, and I think that page 23 or number 23 on your contract basically acknowledges that when you send contractors on the campus, notice I said, when you finally send contractors on the campus to install the stuff, you will have those protections in place because it says so in your own contract. You know that we can't just let anybody walk onto our campus. What else do we hear? We're almost done. Okay, I want to tell you about this now. Every time we look up, you guys, the Norman, Oklahoma experience.
Yep.
Okay, let me figure out what my rendition of it is. You tell me if I'm wrong. When you put the camera up, it's kind of your assumption that whoever appears on the camera or sits near the camera and whispers things into a camera, near the camera, because they don't know that they're on open mic. Sometimes that's very revealing. But I don't think you guys expect or condone that people would do anything on the camera that they wouldn't do in church or in front of children, like yelling out racial slurs or whispering things that are grossly inappropriate while sitting near your camera. I don't think you guys expect that to happen.
That's correct.
That's correct. So at the end of it, once you walk away, somebody doing ignorant stuff like that, that's kind of out of your scope. And I think it says that in the contract. So if you guys can't be responsible for somebody slinging out racial slurs, I'm not sure that somebody writing a letter to every athletic director in the state, because that happened unfortunately to them, is appropriate representation of your company. And no, I'm not your attorney or your sales rep, but this is kind of stuff that's coming up in the background.
Well, I'd like to address that, and I'll give the board a little background there. So what you said is not entirely accurate. So the event that occurred in Oklahoma was a post-season broadcast where we sent, and in post-season broadcasts, we send out crews, little mini crews, to broadcast events. We hire contractors, we use announcers, we work in local markets, we hire local people, we make sure we do our best to verify backgrounds, particularly on-air announcers are known entities, and an individual that we hired that was an experienced person in the high school market. And when I say we hired him, he was a contractor. That individual went rogue and said some incredibly awful things. Again, you can look that up on the internet. And ultimately, yes, we did have to take responsibility because it was said on our brand. But that was not a school broadcast. That really had nothing to do with the automated broadcasting systems that we put into schools. The broadcasting platform equipment, it does have a microphone. The camera is up, mounted up pretty high at half court or, on a press box roof. The microphone does pick up sort of the ambient crowd noise that's there. It is up to the school. If the school wants to hook up an announcer set to have announcers, we neither encourage or discourage that from happening. But yes, there is always the risk. We do everything possible to make sure something like that never happens, and yet something did despite all of our precautions. And that certainly helped us double and triple down going forward to make sure something like that ever happens again. We took a big reputational hit when that happened, but we aggressively and both proactively and reactively dealt with the situation to do the best we could to mend fences and assure that something like that never happens.
That your candor in this situation and what you just described is most respectful. Out of how many customers do you have? It sounds to me like you've had one situation like this, so I express your honesty. Let's go back up to the top of the contract.
And while someone's scrolling up, just to make sure that the board's clear, this is a no-cost contract to the school. We're providing all of the hardware, software, and services at no charge. We're responsible for the warranty and what I would call the ongoing maintenance that we like to call the health and welfare of the systems.
Okay, so to quickly summarize, if you buy a contract, if you buy a subscription, you can watch any game. So it's anybody who's out there and is interested in our kids, even to scout them during the game, could watch. You're clear that there's some paperwork going to come your way if you get this contract that requires your staff to be insured, list of schools additionally insured. That's in the contract. I saw that. It's up to our staff to make sure that an attachment to a DSA approved building doesn't trigger some DSA action. What else is in here? It's up to our staff to have this contract is with the school district now, is that correct? So, no, I'm talking to my staff now.
No, I'm
talking
sorry.
to the guy that runs my money here. Because
Okay.
I had questions about what kind of equity there's going to be in the dispersal of the money. Just because the kids at Meadowlark are too short to play basketball doesn't mean that they need to languish selling Girl Scout cookies or whatever they're doing. Okay, so we'll figure that out. What else is in here? Mr. Murphy, you didn't have to stand up tonight. They referenced that in here. That's good. I do appreciate your candor trying to fix this mess. Yeah, so you're not out to put the newspaper here out of business. That's good. Last thing, the very last thing, you see that date up there on the contract?
Yes.
I'm not at all comfortable with that. I think that there was preparation going on for this meeting. I think the agenda was put together. I imagine this updated document, because there's one in the newspaper, there's a picture of the same document in the newspaper. It appears to be, of course, the newspaper decided to get this document somehow, but if you look real close, it's not the same document. So there was another contract, and I'm glad that they had the common sense not to publish the signature page, because I'm not here to punish people. I'm here to represent the community and the taxpayers that voted for me and make sure that these things are proper in every way. But I don't expect that date to be tonight, but I would expect it to be not the date it is. I did not have a contract with you at that time.
Yeah,
So
we
let's get
understand
that, let's get that one straightened out. And then we're not going to vote on this tonight, but I've put you through the ringer, and I think you've done everything you can to assure us of your intentions. So thank you, sir. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
I wanted to thank you for being here. I know it's super late there. So thank you for showing up this late. The questions that I did have were answered, and that was who can see the broadcasts, and will the paper still be able to report on our events? And those were already answered, so I thank you for that. And one other thing that I would like to point out, that wasn't in the presentation today or the presentation at the last board meeting that I saw in the contract, is that the school can use this for recording practices, and our practices will not be broadcast, but they can be used in-house. I thought that was something that was really cool.
Yes, and
So-
that is correct. They are private events.
I thought that was really cool and something that I didn't know. So I learned quite a bit tonight. So thank you very much for being here.
Okay, thank you. If everyone's done, I'm going to sign off and good night.
We are not done yet. We're not done
Oh.
yet.
Oh,
I know it's 1 a.m. in the morning where you're at and you're ready for bed, but the rest of us are still going. So I won't say much. You can put you through the meat grinder enough. I think I support the program. We just got to dot our I's and cross our T's and everything. So hopefully it'll be good. That being said, how about them Bulldogs out there in Georgia?
yeah, 41 years is a long time.
Sure it was. Thank you, sir, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, I've just got a couple of quick questions. I've been watching. So in the products part that you provide, the system that we used to have in the past was not yours. It was each program developed their own recording and presentation. And during that process, they would make a product of highlights. So is there any additional cost to the subscriber or the school if a subscriber wants to make highlights of my grandson for the season?
Yeah, so the way it's set up is the school has the right to download a copy of the event. And the school, as long as that is not put on a sort of a consumer facing site in its full form, we would leave that up to your discretion. That's fine.
So that would go to our IT department and coordinated with the football coach or the basketball program or the soccer program to, because I'm talking as a coach, I coach football, I would make my highlight reels for my awards banquet.
Yep.
And I would give it to the players as is my appreciation for their hard work for the season. So
Yep.
that's still available at no additional cost to the programs.
That's correct.
Okay. Then the other one is the availability of a select player or student athlete who is competing for scholarship. And I know that I have recruits coach come in here and they want to see game film. And if they're not a subscriber, how do they get access to watch that film?
Yeah.
On
So I mean,
that- on
our
that one particular athlete, do we make a highlight and then they see that?
Yeah,
So
I mean, for the
send
most
that to them?
part, the way that works, at least from my understanding, because again, we're a consumer facing entertainment product. That being said, I'm sure there are people, scouts or whatever you would call them, that are watching games and is a way to evaluate players and for programs. But that being said, typically what will happen is your coaches will download copies of the games. They will put them into their coaching tools, such as like a Huddles platform. In that platform, they break down plays, they tag players, and oftentimes that's the product that gets sent to schools at the behest of the student and the coaches. It really has nothing to do with us, but it is our recorded footage, and that is fine and all outlined in the agreement.
Okay, so you just said the word that piques my interest. You said Huddle. That was the program that we use. So the availability of the coaches to develop their programs and to highlight student athletes for recruiting, for college, or highlight reels, they can put it into that program or the software of Huddle so that they can dissect it and do it while the program keeps working.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. Then the last thing is on the audio. So I looked at the camera setup in our gym, and it's above one of our bleachers, but the people right below can't be seen, but the people on the other side. Is there any concern, or have you heard of any concerns about people? What kind of signage do we have to have do you recommend for our gyms to let people know that this game is being recorded?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Most state codes are actually silent to these type of privacy concerns. Interestingly enough, the state of California is not. By the way, I'm not a lawyer, but I've had to do a lot of research on this. And if you look at California Civil Code 3344, and you look at, I think it's section D. Yes, it is section D. It actually carves out sports broadcasts from needing any kind of consent by users. That being said, in the practical sense of the term, a lot of schools put some kind of signage in place that just says these games are being broadcast live, and just to be aware.
Right. Okay, so there's been conversation about, recording people without, we've been recording games for ad nauseum with my own camera up on the highlight on the top of the press box for ages. And I just think that because the camera is focused on the playing field where the student athletes are taking place, it's not panning. We're not doing kiss cam where everybody's going around looking at the audience. It's just on the playing field, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now it wouldn't be a bad thing if we really had some kind of fundraiser where if your picture shows up, you owe us $10, but who knows? Anyway, so I appreciate that, and I know it's late back there, but are you coming out for the Super Bowl?
No, I'm not. I'll be
Okay.
watching on TV.
All right, we thank you for your presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I appreciate it very much. Good night.
I like it on.
Can you hear me now?
11C, independent financial audit report. Ooh, the doc is up. Dr. Zahaki.
Yes, sir. So we have our independent auditor, Christy White and Associates. We have a representative who will review the audit results with us. This will be for the 2021 financial audit for that fiscal year. Mr. Mirza?
Yeah, hey, good evening, board members. Hey, Valerie, nice to see you. She'll be presenting tonight our results for our independent financial audit. So please be kind.
So I'm Valerie Shaw. I'm your district's auditor with Christy White, and I'm here to present the 2020-2021 financial audit. During our audit, we give 3 different opinions. The first opinion we give is over the financial statements, and we were giving you an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that we can give. We had no financial statement findings, so that's great news. And we only had 1 audit adjustment, which I will explain. We also gave you an opinion over federal compliance. We also gave you an unmodified opinion over federal compliance, and we had 2 programs that we tested in the 2020-2021 year, and that were the ESSER and GEAR programs, and then the CRF program. We had no findings over any of those. And we also gave you an unmodified state opinion, and we did have 1 audit finding regarding state compliance. The audit adjustment that we did have in your financial statements was related to the ELO Extended Learning Opportunities Program. There was some confusion with the CDE, go figure, and they actually gave some guidance that was later changed after you had closed your books. So an amount that was accrued as a receivable later was determined to not be eligible to be receivable. You did receive the money in 21-22, but accounting rules didn't allow for it to be accrued. So we ended up reversing that receivable. So you'll see that in your financial statements. As far as the 1 audit finding that we did have regarding state compliance, it had to do with the the board resolution regarding instructional materials. And there was some required language regarding the 9 through 12 laboratory equipment that was not included. That program is no longer funded, so there was no financial consequence to that finding, but it's one of the things that the state does require us to look for. Overall, it was a great audit. These times are tough, and we really appreciate your business office and everybody else that's involved in the audit process. It's tough to get us all the information, but they were very fast to get us everything and super helpful, and we can't thank them enough. If you have any questions on the audit report, I'd be happy to answer them, but overall, it was a great audit.
Board member comment?
I don't. Thanks for just getting all the papers to them, and we appreciate you doing the audit report, and thank you for just being on top of it and getting them what they need.
Okay, so I see this one finding is a clerical error. I do those all the time at work. What I think is we've been through, oh yeah, my microphone. I left my microphone away when I was talking about me failing, which I don't ever do. Anyway, how many reports did you have to do every 5 minutes to switch what your plan was about mask 19A5, right? So I think you guys have been really, really busy this year. And that one, there's one here I have to talk about because it's year after year after year. And I remember last year, the year before, we ended up taking about $85,000 out of our budget because there was an ASB finding. And where I come from, that is the equivalent of 8 kids ADA, 85,000, am I roughly right? So I have 8 kids coming in the door and I can't manage the money to the point where I get my receipts right for the giant muffin tray from Costco to the point where I'm teaching them kids for free at the expense of this. So these little audit findings in this area, year after year after year, concern me. I don't think this is kids hiding money after selling hot dogs at the football game. I don't think this. I do have a couple questions that I don't want answers for. I work for a municipal agency, I run people. Is there an ASB advisor, bookkeeper, principal, and assistant superintendent of business services watching over this? Does the person that's supposed to be doing this, do they have a schedule? Is that schedule monitored? Is there a performance evaluation? Is there a job description? Are they overwhelmed? Can they not do the work? Please don't have this again next year. Just please don't. I don't need any answers. I just don't want this to happen next year. This happens every year.
Can I point out something? The finding you're referring to is actually from the prior year, and we have to include the status. So they did implement that finding during 2021. So they've taken your advice ahead of time.
I hope so. I hate being right all the time. Thanks, guys. But you heard what I said. There's an easy way to do this. If you have a schedule of a person, if you have a number of hours, have them doing the work, that number of hours, evaluate. If there's not enough room in their day to do the work, then they depend on you to support that. But yeah, no more, please. So you're telling me that next year there will not be this finding? I trust
Not unless
you.
it occurs again.
There we go. I trust you more than anyone I've ever met. I've seen you so many times up here, and thank you for your work. It's objective.
You're welcome.
I don't have any comments, just this is a lot of work, so thank you.
I have nothing to add either. Thank you for your help on this stuff.
I just want to thank you for your work, and then thank you for the compliments for our staff and Mr. Hassan. It's PA, oh, he's a PA, yeah, PA Hassan. Please, thank you for your hard work. Make sure your staff is, we extend their appreciation to get the documentation to them. I do echo Mr. Paulsgrass's concerns about ASB. We know we have some concerns there. Moving forward, I hope that's resolved, that we don't have any more of those conversations.
There was no, let me restate, there was no finding this year. Legally, they have to put the previous finding from the previous fiscal year to see if we actually corrected it this operating year. So what Mrs. Valerie is trying to tell you is this year, 2021, there was no problems with ASB. There was no
Very
issues.
good. Thank you.
Corrected the previous issues.
Thank you.
What you're telling me is that next year at this time, well, I won't be up here, but I'll be out there looking for it. You will be held accountable. You too. Wait a minute, you all have to go through an election.
All right, 11D, Dr. Hakim, resolution 2021-22.12, authorizing use of remote teleconferencing provision AB 361, Dr. Hakim.
Sure, we have this on the agenda. We're required to have AB 361 as an action item. If we,
Action item, do you have a motion to bring in 11D, please?
This is Kelly, so moved.
Kelly?
Chad, second.
Chad, sorry, now, Mr. Hakim.
Sure, just for teleconferencing rules and to go to the path of teleconferencing for meetings. This is on the agenda for this evening as well to cover the month of February.
Okay, board member comments or questions? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Paulsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I 5-0, carried. 12, personnel action. Wait a minute, where are we at? 12. Wait, what happened? There it is. 12A, personnel action report. Do I have a motion to open for discussion?
Kelly Jensen, so moved.
Kelly. Second,
Chad will second.
Chad. Dr. Zahakian.
We have an amended part, board members. The additions now include resignation of a bus driver. In addition, hired several coaching positions, track coach, JV baseball coach, and varsity softball assistant coach, all three at Vasquez High School. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none.
Real quick, is there any hiring freeze on any of the positions? Are you dragging or aging any positions that you're currently recruiting for?
I want to say no, but I'll go ahead and defer to Ms. Shaw.
So you understand what I'm saying? You're purposely not dragging, so these concerns that keep coming up about not enough staff, that they're not being permeated by delays in budget savings by aging positions. Oh, you seem to be offended by that. I'm doing great tonight, Mr. Money. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, I just, any other, Brianna? No. I just note that we have a lot of open positions that, and unlike, just like any other district, everybody's competing for staff. And so I'm hopeful that, I see that they're open until filled. So that means they're being advertised on EdJoin, so they're out there for people to apply. Yeah, so we hope that we can get those done. No other further questions, call the question, please.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Jen Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0 carries. 13, informational, second read and adoption, BB 9150, student board members, Dr. Zahakian. Oh, excuse me, do you have a motion to open for discussion?
Kelly Jensen, I make a motion.
Kelly,
I'll second. Brianna.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, we reviewed some of the highlights of recommendations or requirements of change of content by CSBA, California School Board Association. We have attached to this agenda the red line versions as well. So thank you, Ms. McCauley, for attaching those. I'd like to go ahead and request to pull 13D, AR 42 17.3 layoff and rehire. This content, this AR is still with CSEA leadership for review at this time.
So we'll table that when we get
Please.
there.
If we could table 13D.
Right. Because now we're going to go through these one at a time. So we're all done with A?
Call the question.
Not A. I just want to go ahead and table 13D. Tabling 13D.
So there's a, do I have a motion to table second read adoption AR 4217-.3 layoff rehire?
I'll make a motion, Kelly Jensen.
Kelly, so
I'll second.
Brianna, call the question to table.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 13D is tabled. Okay, 13A, Dr. Zahakian, it's open for, do you have anything else?
No, the red line versions that you have actually provide the updated language recommendations and the highlights I shared at the last meeting.
Board member comments? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0, motion carried. 13B, second read and adoption, BB 9320, meetings and notices, move to open.
Chad will move it in.
Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna, second, Dr. Zahakian.
Once again, thank you. Red line recommendations per CSBA new language you have with you.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0, motion carries. 13C, second read and adoption, AR 3515.6, criminal background check for contractors, move to open.
I'll move. Brianna.
Brianna moves, I'll second. Dr. Zahakian.
Same, Mr. Jorgensen and board. Information was shared at the last board meeting and recommended language has been, is in your red line version.
Board member discussion? Hearing none.
I don't want to bemoan this, but yeah, I think we talked a lot about contractors being on our campuses. While we're here, call me to order, point of order.
Point of order.
Okay, here we go. If you remember a couple of years ago, we had problems with people wondering if a gate was open, if there was a gap in the screen, whatever. We put in the Raptor system. You cannot screen contractors without the Raptor system in place. If you are a site administrator and people are walking by your Raptor system on a daily basis, I don't care who it is, starting with all of us, if you set foot on a campus site, you need to check into the Raptor system. God forbid something happens. I know enough about law to tell you, if something happens on your site, somebody accesses your site and they did not sign into your Raptor system, you as an individual will be held accountable. Your conscience won't live with it, much less what the law will do to you, please. So right up that I was out of order because I care about kids on our campuses and not everybody coming in with a criminal record, walking in and doing whatever they want. Fallsgraf, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Walter, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Motion carries 5-0. 13D is tabled. 13E, second reading adoption, BP 5141.52 and AR 5141.52 suicide prevention. Motion to open.
Kelly Jensen.
Kelly,
I'll second.
Brianna seconds, Dr. Sahakian.
Some other required language for BP and AR 5141.52 includes professional development for staff, classified certificated around suicide prevention, as well as development of a risk assessment handbook for staff. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Walter, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Motion carries 5-0. 13F, second reading adoption, BP 6112 and AR 6112 school day. Motion to open.
Chad, open.
Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna seconds, Dr. Zahakian.
New language per CSBA is recommended. You have that in your red line version and discussed at the last board meeting. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
I just have one comment. It, just so for clarification, so people know this is a new law. This isn't something that we're changing the school times because we decided to change start times. This is something that was required.
Is this the rule where you finally get done watching Jerry Springer and you drag up out of bed at 10:30 in the morning and go to school? Is this that one?
Oh, this is not the school start time, right? I apologize.
Please tell me this.
The school start time is, I believe, the next.
Yeah, I believe
I
so.
thought we were in the school start. time.
Okay, I'll do Groundhog Day on
Or
this one.
both.
What does this one actually mean to a kid and a parent and a commuter?
For the early start time, AB.
No, whatever this is, F. I used to get that grade a lot on my report card. Item F. What does this mean, really?
This board policy has to do with grades 1 through 8 in terms of their instructional minutes.
Oh, it's how long you go to school a day.
Yes, sir.
This is so you can't get online in a charter school called K-12 and go to school for 3 minutes
No,
and get funding, you get fined $12 billion by the state of California. Okay, I got it.
I thought it was,
Don't let me confuse you.
Any other board member discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Walter, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0, motion carries.
Oh, you know what's coming.
13G, second reading adoption, BP 6158 and AR 6158 independent study. Move to open. Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna seconds, Dr. Sahakian.
independent study, new language for the current school year has been embedded for 21-22 for independent study per AB 167. That language has been embedded for this BP. Thank you.
Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Wait a minute. I'm getting really old. What does this mean?
For this current school year with students returning back to in-person instruction with the masking mandate, if there was concerns of students not masking or what have you, that's just one scenario for students to go ahead and opt in for the long-term independent study program.
So this is a means of people to continue to be educated amongst this mess.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0, motion carries.
So before we break on the series, when are we going to hear about the day starting at 10:30 a.m. and also about the charter schools that we're going to like adopt the language about how we audit them?
So regarding the late start bill of AB 328, there was a survey that was pushed out to our entire district community when it has to do with the suggestion of an earlier school year beginning of August 17th, correct, Nisha? That was out there. That was one of them. Informational item of the early start Senate bill by Senator Portantino for middle schools to start no earlier than 8 o'clock and high schools to start no earlier than 8:30.
Have we taken action on that?
No.
Good.
No.
Good. So if nobody moves that one in and nobody seconds it, what happens? You just put it on every week. Okay, cool. Thank
Correct.
you.
The other items per the survey will be presented by Ms. Shah in the upcoming weeks at a board meeting. Thank you.
14, calendar. Let's see, the next board meeting is, regular board meeting is February 24th. And the succeeding one will be March 10th. If I recall correctly, Ms. Jensen, you're going to be out of town on the 24th?
Yes, I will be attending a conference, so I will not be able to attend the next board.
So, all right, 15, future agenda items, Dr. Zahaki.
Sure, there'll be the second read and adoption of BP 0420.42 charter school renewal, which is being reviewed, as well as, since we tabled AR 4217.3 layoff and rehire for CSEA review, hopefully that will be back on the agenda for the 24th.
I don't want to discuss this, but please make sure that our charter director has let everyone know in the charter school world that we oversee that we will be discussing that and voting on it the next day. And if they have some issue, I know charter schools and the CSBA aren't like friends that much. Okay.
She's aware. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Any future agenda items, board members, Ms. Jensen? None? Any other board member have a item for future agenda?
I would like to suggest that we discuss me wearing Callie's glasses at all times next.
And motion died for lack of a second. Okay.
Nothing from.
All right, have a motion for adjournment, please.
Chad moves.
Chad,
Second.
Brianna seconds. No discussion. Call the question.
Kelly Jensen.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 5-0, the motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 10:21. Thank you, everybody. Good night, everybody.